Welcome to Push to Pass podcast with JP Murray, a discussion about business, racing, sports, and life. This podcast delivers insights on what makes businesses, teams, and people successful based on real-life business experiences. Following a career with America's largest associations, JP Murray founded the Murray Company, one of Washington, D.C.'s most successful consulting firms. The company was acquired successfully and enabled him to launch JP Murray Racing, a business development and sponsorship agency for auto racing teams. Here is JP.
Hello, this is JP Murray, and welcome to episode 31 of the Push to Pass podcast. I was a flawed business leader with my own company. Now I'm a flawed solo operator, but here are some things that I feel right about and a few mistakes that I've made. I want to give you three of each today. First, let's talk about the good stuff, the things that I like. First, I held a pep rally at 9 a.m. for my staff almost every business day. This enabled me to be on the same page and the opportunity to communicate significantly and consistently. And I know that staff may or may not find it useful over time because after 5 days, you're kind of maybe repeating certain things, but I wanted to reinforce and stay consistent with my internal messaging. The other thing that I found valuable, once we got into a virtual environment, this provided me a good step off every day, a bit of management to make sure that everybody was kind of rolling into their day on a consistent basis. The second thing, I developed mentors, both in person and virtual. We all need some help and some advice, and this is a huge benefit of the world we live in where content is everywhere. But I want to engage with business gurus and mentors that have actually been in the game and have a track record of success. Sometimes I think we rely on people just because they have a Twitter feed when they've really actually never done anything. I think somebody makes the joke about 20-year-old life coaches. Well, what I've done is I've identified three for you today. Tim Ferriss, who wrote the 4-Hour Work Week, a Tribe of Mentors author, and I tell you what, he's got a fantastic podcast and e-newsletter every week. Gary Vaynerchuk. Gary V keeps me engaged with kind of Internet 3.0, NFTs, alternative financing, kind of some cutting edge stuff that I probably need to stay in touch with, being that I'm getting older in the market. And then third, Ed Mylett. Here's a guy that is much more than a muscled up dude with a hoarse voice. He has great content. And The Power of One More is a fantastic book that I'm reading right now. The third thing that went well was I designed the business in advance. I was fortunate to read The E-Myth Revisited. It helped me design the business before I ever got out of the gate, when it was just me and I was the only employee. Here's what you want to think about. Job descriptions for billing and marketing and sales and project delivery and communications in advance. And who's going to do it? Well, on day one, you are, more than likely. It also guides you in developing good processes. So when you set up the company for the future, you've got some of those things already in place as you start to scale. Here are the mistakes I want to tell you about. And obviously there are more of these, but here's a couple that I want to share. One, pricing to get the business rather than sustaining the business. You know, you've got to fear that you're not going to get enough business and enough clients. That is not a problem if you have credibility or reputation in the marketplace. You're going to get the work. The trick is to get the price right and to charge the right fees so you can sustain the business and grow it enough that you can hire people to scale. Secondly, more candid feedback to clients and the people that I work with. Hey, sometimes things suck and you need to tell people about it. I wanted to be liked way too much and I had some fear that I would lose staff or clients. And looking back, not everybody's going to like you anyway. I learned that after I sold the company. Man, I heard about a lot of folks that didn't like the way I led it and what I did. And you know what? So why did I spend so much time having them like me? That's something I really regret. I should have just been much more candid. We would have had a better company if I would have been more comfortable with the unvarnished truth. And third, I mentioned business design as a strength during the business launch, but over time I did not stay on top of that. And once we grew and scaled, I was in the way a lot of the time. I didn't build the business to keep me out of the way and out of the daily operations of the business. And to have a company that's valuable, it needs to be able to operate without you. So intentionally structure the company and your organization that way so it can operate when you're away, you're on vacation, or frankly, if you sell it. Whether you decide to build your company to sell it or not, you need to structure it in a way that you're not always in the middle of everything because you start to logjam things. And that's super difficult to do because you're the guy or the lady that started the business. So those are 3 things that went well, 3 mistakes I made. I hope this content is helpful for you because I'm pulling for you so much. And I cannot wait to speak with you next week on the Push to Pass podcast with JP Murray.
Thank you for listening to the Push to Pass podcast with JP Murray, a discussion about business, racing, sports, and life. If you would like to sponsor Push to Pass, send an email to jp@jpmurray.com. Follow JP on Twitter, LinkedIn, Facebook, and YouTube. His website is jpmurray.com. Until next time, push yourself to pass the competition. Thanks for listening.